Okay. Sa kabilang panig na maganda nito.
Oh, wow. Whoa.
And also, last question for this episode. How many chances do I give to erring people?
Yeah, okay.
What context is this? Is this work?
That's a very good point.
Is this personal? Is this love life? What is this?
And I think, if I may add to that, Lippy, I think also not just the context of where is it happening, but when you say, what question, how many chances do I give to erring people? Chances for what? What are the chances for? And it may be funny, but I think it's relevant.
Yeah, exactly. Are we talking about work? Are we talking about family spat?
Yeah.
Are we talking about your ex now? What are we talking about here?
So Lippy, why don't we choose 2-3 contexts and share our opinions on each one and see where that goes?
Well, my opinion is if your ex cheated on you, that's it. But that's just me, people. I mean, again, it's your choice if you want to forgive. This is another topic. We should have one episode dedicated to what I'm talking about and all its similar questions.
So I think if I were just to bring it back, Lippy, and this may be trying to fit it into a framework or a formula, but just to go back, context there, like Lippy mentioned, and I think Lippy is actually, he was laughing, but I think it actually is a serious answer there. So ex cheated on you, context, you're in a relationship, person cheated, number of chances, how many chances? So Lippy's answer is basically 1. If I were to extend that, and Lippy, correct me if I'm wrong.
It's 0.
No, so that's it, done. 0 extra chances.
No,
right?
again, but see, what is the chance that when you say chance, meaning chance we'll still be together?
Right.
Maybe not. But I can forgive the person.
Absolutely.
I can come to terms with it, but maybe not continue to be in a exclusive relationship,
Right.
etc., right? So again, the context and what are we really talking about when we say chances here? Again, it really depends on the situation and what is clear for you and what is important. And that the tech guys are putting in their answers in the chat. This is a topic they want. So this is abangan, people. This is an upcoming episode.
But so again, and I like how Lippy put it there, it's so chances 0 for us to still be in this relationship. But chances to respect you as a person, chances to forgive you as a person, then maybe more. So again, it's a matter of the context. And as long as it's clear for you why, I think that clarity is important. Clarity of why. And maybe for Lippy, if I were to imagine myself in his situation, maybe it's 0 chances because maybe I know myself and I will not have the ability to forget what happened in the past. And so there will forever be that hanging doubt. I may have forgiven you, but the wound is still there. And maybe that will make it be a bit too difficult for this relationship.
So let's shift this into something a bit more professional. Let's
Agree.
say it's at work, right?
Yes.
Let's say it's Pao is like, yes, agree at work. Okay. This making you uncomfortable a bit. Okay, so how many chances do I give to erring people? Let's say it's at work, right? My attention here goes to when you say how many chances, I'm assuming that means this person has done the same mistake over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So then I'm asking here, why isn't this person accountable for the consequences of whatever it is that they're not doing? Maybe it's not being served. Right? So I think that how many chances do I give to erring people, I feel here is a symptom of something deeper, which is that this person feels it's okay to make the same mistake over and over again.
Yes. And I think that's a good point. And I'll relate it to child rearing and child discipline. So nowadays there are all sorts of different perspectives in terms of how to rear a child, how to help a child grow up and be mature. But one of the things that most commonly comes up is in disciplining, the discipline needs to be immediate, meaning there needs to be a clear link between what the child did and what the consequences.
What the consequences are, correct.
Another one, which to me made perfect sense and is challenging to apply as a parent, is that the consequence must be a natural relation or natural consequence of the action.
That's right.
So meaning, If the child did something like, let's say, he threw a toy at you, what many people say is the consequence, if you give him a consequence which doesn't have a clear relation, like stand in the corner, and there's no clear explanation to it, it's very difficult. There will be no learning, or the learning will be very difficult. On the other hand, if the child continues to throw their toys, and let's say you've reminded them, please don't throw your toys, might hurt someone, it's not good for your toys. When the toy breaks, then it becomes clear to the child. Okay, now it makes sense. Why? Now my favorite toy is broken. And when they come to you and say, Daddy, can you fix my toy? Daddy, why isn't my toy working? And then you go back and you explain, you know what? Remember when I was reminding you not to throw your toy? It's because when you throw something that's not intended to be thrown, it will break down. And so the consequence is there, and you don't have to force it. The child learns naturally. So it will take patience. But again, the consequences have to be there. Now, in a work relationship,
Yeah, and that's a really good point. That's also highlighting why the annual once a year performance review is not really working. I mean, we're talking about providing timely feedback and
right.
and providing timely observations, keeping people accountable, which we share in some of the programs here at Franklin Covey, right? Where we teach people about what are the best practices, critical practices that managers can practice. And right, it doesn't make sense to have your example, to have the person do something in January and then only talk about it next year, January, and go, you know what, last year, this is what you did, and this is, the person has forgotten that by then.
Right. And I'll just read through some of the comments here. So we have a few comments from Sydney, from Raymond, and from Lirio.
And from Lirio as well. Yeah, go ahead.
So just in order, so Sydney says, we have chances, but we need to be accountable for our choices. Exactly what you said earlier, Lippy. Chances and accountability are two different things. Agree? And they're also related. When we have chances, when we are given the chance to make choices, there is that accountability. Raymond, forgive and forget means we don't keep count. A clean slate means crimson becomes white as snow. Sounds really good, Raymond. And of course, we all know it's challenging. But yes, there is that choice that we make, forgive and to forget. And then from Lirio as well, context at work. A question of skill. So meaning, is the mistake, is the error, and therefore the
I like this.
chance coming from skill, or is it coming from a value such as integrity?
Yeah, I like this because this is highlighting what is acceptable or non-acceptable for us and also for the organization or for the company, right? Because if it's about skill, like this person isn't getting the report done or is unable to present, that's workable. It's more workable, right? But if this is like the person was caught stealing or lying, right? Or selling out the company, whatever it is, if it's something that's ethical and relates to values and integrity, right? That's a different topic.
And I think as simple and as seemingly as deceptively obvious as this sounds, it's an important question to ask. Because very often, what we'll find ourselves saying is when a person fails to achieve certain results or deliver certain results, very often the judgment becomes a judgment of the person without realizing it's about skill. It's about technical capability. And we start saying, hindi yan marunong, hindi yan maganda, or hindi maayos yung taong yan. Which can be very demeaning.
And it can even come from a space of belief. Because like example, right? You're the boss, you're telling this person, this is how we do things here, and the person doesn't believe that will work.
Right.
So no surprise if the person goes out and doesn't get the job done.
Right. And I think another important aspect here is if let's say it's a question of skill, then it points us in the direction of what can we do about it? And maybe even, and this is probably not something that is always necessary, but sometimes it may be worth asking, where is the deficit or where is the challenge coming from? Because we may come to an answer which makes us recognize that we actually put the person in a position that they weren't prepared for, which is the reality for many people who've gone from superstar individual contributor to being a leader of a team.
Correct.
Because entirely different skill sets. They may be applying what worked for them as an individual contributor. Attention to detail, dogged persistence, an independent spirit. I will get this done. But when you're leading a team, yes, those can help. But if that's what you're pushing your team with, it may result in someone being micromanaging. Very hard on him, herself, and the team members. And so then it's a matter of, was this person prepared in the first place? And if not, or if this person is not prepared now and it's just coming out, What can we do about it?
I mean, it's a bit like parenting, is it? Like, are we willing to let our children make mistakes so they can learn from it? And that's something that I'm still struggling with right
Right.
now. And in a way, that's how it is. Like when we're leading people, we can't expect them to get everything right. Otherwise, how will they learn? But it's
Right.
providing those learning opportunities. And Lirio, I like this. I like this context at work, or not even work. So
Anywhere.
when you cheated on me in our relationship, is it a question of skill or a violation of a value such as integrity?
And I think
this.
an important part here is if it is a question of integrity, and I'm staying with the work context.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
If it is a question of values, let's say it's not integrity, let's say it's values. And let's say the company has a certain set of values that do not perfectly agree with the values of this individual. Then what I would suggest is make that clear. Make it clear where the incongruence is. And maybe even give the person an opportunity to share their mind and say, you know what, can you help me understand what's behind this behavior? Whatever it is. So for example, it might be for this person, the value might be family comes first, which to him makes perfect sense. And who knows, maybe at this particular office, the value is we put our heart and soul into the work. No limitations. Just assuming, I'm just making this up as I go. So those two may not seem incongruent at the onset. But when we have limited time, limited space, when we have limited resources, all of a sudden they come into direct conflict.
Yeah,
and
so
go ahead.
this is bringing a story. I remember before I had a team member, 4:55, the guy would be at the clock with the card. 4:55. We were all like, why is it? There's still time, right? I mean, why? That's so blatant, etc., etc. Right? Only to find out later that the value here was family. The guy had a newborn son, so was rushing home, to take
Right.
care and be with his family. So yeah, that's right. I totally agree with you, right? And if we take time to check in and understand where people are coming from, what's their perspective, we might find that maybe there's a value that's important for them that's not necessarily in conflict with what we also find important or what
Right.
the company finds important. But
Then
it's
have that
being displayed.
conversation.
Yeah, right? However, it's being displayed in a way that's not expected or that
Right.
people don't know how to, have it encountered or maybe they deem it as unacceptable.
Right. And I think at the end of the day, I'll just go back, and this may seem like me setting this aside, but to my mind, we started by saying you also need to be able to set consequences. In a sense, this is really setting boundaries. And in saying that, so for example, Raymond says company HR policy usually outlines consequences that are carried out accordingly. So 2 or 3 strikes after verbal, written warnings.
Yeah.
And I think Raymond points us here into a great or a very real scenario, which is that there usually is an escalation. There's a
And
warning.
there's a system, right? Meaning if we work in a
Yes.
company, at the end of the day, you have to know this. This is also another way of asking for help, right? If this person of yours keeps on making the same mistake, maybe it has to go through a system because this is also accountability, right, Pao?
And yes, and I
Yeah.
think in order to enforce that accountability, there has to be a sense of consistency. You cannot apply one set of consequences today and then tomorrow, because it's a bit more uncomfortable kasi kaibigan mo yung nagkamali, all of a sudden it's okay.
I hear all the HR people I've worked with throughout my career tell me, make sure to document everything, guys.
Absolutely.
Make sure to document everything.
But take note, very often documentation, as they say, and I learned this very early in my career. For those of you who don't understand the acronym, I'm sorry, but for very, very often documentation is about CYA, they will say. But in truth, it can also work the other way, because if you document it honestly and truthfully, it can very well serve as evidence that something was not done right in the future.
Right. Yeah. And Pao, sorry for all of our viewers who might not know what CYA.
Well, CYA is cover your behind, basically.
We can't say that word. We can't say that word here. No. But yeah, that's exactly right. Not having an intention of not just making sure that you cover yourself, but not the intention here. Well, in this case, right, if it's a person making the mistake, the intention is not only to document the case, but at the end of the day, it's a fact. You can always go to the person and say, these are the performance numbers, these are the facts, this is what happened, and you can't deny these, right? Because the last thing you want to happen when you're in these conversations is make it a he said, she said thing,
right.
if you know what I mean.
So to go back, and we've said quite a lot, And I sincerely believe that pretty much everything we've said here and everything that Lirio, Sydney, Raymond have commented
Raymond,
will be relevant.
yes.
But to go back to the original question, how many chances do you give? Now, I'll give my own personal opinion. I can't give you a number. I don't think there is a number.
It's
And
not
I
about the
won't go
number.
into, yes, I won't go into religion or biblical truths here. But
Seven
what I
by
will
seven,
say is,
yeah.
yes. So, but what I will say is this. I will say give as many chances as you can give while you feel you are still honestly respecting your dignity as a person and or the dignity of the organization and the team, as well as the other person. So if you're to ask me, forgive as much as you can, as long as you feel like you're still respecting your dignity. And then the consequences will follow. Because the consequences, and this is, I think, one of the final points I will make here. Consequences, to my mind, should not be about vindictiveness. It shouldn't be about, dahil sinaktan mo ako,
Getting back at
saktan
the
kita.
person, right?
And it's a fine line because very often the consequence is a punishment, or at least that's the way it comes across. The consequence, to my mind, and this to my mind also has to be clear to the recipient of the consequences, should be about helping the person move forward. So, for example, if it's about being in a relationship, being an employee, it's about helping that person move forward, either staying in that relationship for the next relationship or staying in the company or in their next job and doing it without making the same mistake or while learning and recognizing that I've made this mistake in the past. What can I do about it? And at the same time, also, it's about being able to draw that line where you say, yes, we're friends, you're a human being, we're office mates, whatever it is, but I also need to respect myself. And again, stop short of the vindictiveness because that really just results in people hurting one another. It's about forward motion for both of you. For me, as the person who was wrong, let's say, and the other person, the one who made that mistake. So I will give as many chances as possible that still respect myself, but I will, as Lippy said, try to set those boundaries and make those consequences clear. So at the end of the day, it's really about moving forward.
All right. Thank you, Pao. And thanks, everyone. We're being told that's all the time we have for today.